the detective party. But your moustache won't stay on. Do you have anything else? What have you got? A magnifying glass to look for clues. And you've got a martini. Careful, careful, careful. Careful with that. Are you old enough to drink? Go on for me too. Whoa, careful. Put over there. It's not a martini. It's creaming soda. Why is it called Spy Wednesday? What do you remember happens in Holy Week? Somebody will betray Jesus and he'll be crucified. Do you remember who that was? Okay. Then one of the 12, Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and the temple police and asked them what they would give him if he handed Jesus over to them. No, that's not very nice. So they gave him 30 pieces of silver, and from that moment on, he was looking for an opportunity in order to betray Jesus. That's what makes him a spy, yes. Because the old English meaning of the word spy was one who keeps secret watch on a person or thing to obtain information on them. Which is exactly what Judas was doing with Jesus. Why did Judas betray Jesus? Well, there are a couple of reasons. One is that we get a feeling from the writers of the Gospels that Judas wasn't actually the nicest man that Jesus had called into being one of his 12. He was known to look after the purse, the money, the treasury, and he had a habit of pinching some of it for himself. Like a thief, yes. And remember how we started this with saying, and then one of the 12? Well, what had happened was the evening before, one of the women came and she rubbed a wonderfully rich perfume over Jesus. And Judas wasn't happy because they could have sold that perfume and made a lot of money. And of course that would have been more money for him to pinch a few coins out of that people wouldn't have seen. And Jesus told him off and told him that, she was more than welcome to do nice things like that, to give nice things and wonderful, rich, expensive gifts to God, and to use them as a sign of her own adoration in worship. Didn't just need to have boring worship and minimal contact. And then Judas got spiteful, yes, and realised that Jesus might be keeping an eye on him. His own guilt crept in. If Jesus was noticing that money was missing, wouldn't be long before Judas got in trouble. And he realised he'd probably be better off by turning on Jesus and finding a way to make a bit of money out of it and betray him. No, it wasn't very nice. And every Wednesday of Holy Week, and Spy Wednesday, we remember these actions of Judas and the journey he goes on to turn on a friend and somebody who had accepted and cared for him. The events of Spy Wednesday are also the beginning of the final days of the life of Jesus. Everything from the moment of this Wednesday leads up to the death of Jesus without a break. It also is a reminder that in the Old Testament, Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, and of course one of his older brothers was Judah, and it was from that line of Judah that you get King David and then ultimately Jesus, who is also betrayed as well. So there's a history of God's people being betrayed by others out of jealousy and greed. And as we approach Easter, what we see is a God who does the opposite, who gives himself rather than builds up his own wealth and power. You prefer Jesus? All right. So shall we have our drinks now?